Hey guys, I'm here chatting with Michael with Klotz Cables, and I understand that you're actually also a guitarist, so you get to...
My main gig, yes.
Oh, your main gig, so you get to see both sides of it. What do you like about Klotz?
Well, I actually started playing these cables about 1.5 years ago, and it actually stemmed from a article I wrote for a guitar magazine where I did a shootout with guitar cables just to see what the best guitar cable out there was, and there's a whole story behind that. It ultimately happened because I found the guitar pedal on my board that sucked all the life out of all the tone out of the
pedal was the real problem.
The pedal was a problem, and then it got me thinking, well, what else is sucking the life and the tone out of the sound? So I did a review, or I just did a shootout, and Klotz was one of the microphones that, not microphones, one of the cables that I used in the shootout. And I hadn't heard of them before, but they were recommended to me, and so I just used them. And I honestly wasn't expecting much because I hadn't heard about them in America, and they ultimately became the #1 cable that I chose for that article.
And how many did you test it against?
I tested it against 5 other cables, real popular cables, guitar cables. Some of them were dramatically different, and shockingly, the more popular ones were the ones that were drastically different, that were drastically tone-sucking that I had no idea about.
Really?
And
did you just base this purely on ear, like you just, or is this something you can actually see in your software?
No, I just sat and listened, and some were so obvious it was mind-blowing. And then there was one that was tough. I had to sit and go back and forth, but ultimately, and again, I had no reason to choose Klotz as #1 over any of the other ones. I just chose it because sonically it stood out. And then I got in contact with them and sent them the article, and then they sent me a couple extra ones, and so my entire guitar rig is now Klotz because they, at least to me, proved themselves to be sonically the best cables that I've been able to play with. Yeah.
And now you're here actually kind of being a missionary for Klotz Cables. So
it's kind of one of those things where if I find a product that I believe in, then I definitely stand behind it, and I like to share it and and talk about it, and it's fun. Yeah.
Well, how have you liked the gear preview and kind of using this as an opportunity to help share the quality of Klotz with others?
This is actually the first gear preview I've actually really been a part of like this, and it's been cool to meet a lot of. I'm fairly new to the Nashville community. I spent a lot of time out in LA, and so this has been a lot of fun to meet a lot of local guitar players and musicians who I wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise.
Cool. And just last but not least, what kind of advice would you have for maybe other guitarists or even singer-songwriters, musicians who are thinking, what I have works, it sounds fine, it records the song. How important is it to do your research and really make sure that you're investing in the right type of equipment?
Gosh, that's a great question. Well, I think right now the music industry is so unbelievably competitive, and there's so much clutter and noise per se out there that I think that to stand out, you have to be bulletproof. And so you have to be bulletproof all the way around, when it comes to performing, when it comes to writing, and of course when it comes to production and the way you sound. Because, you can play something on a guitar that's, correct, but if it doesn't sound good, who wants to listen to it?
What's the point? Yeah,
exactly. So I think there's a lot to be said. I think subconsciously as humans we need to listen to good music, not just music but good music. And there's an element to where we subconsciously we're drawn to stuff that just sounds good and is pleasing to our ear. And so I think that as a whole, it's all encompassing. It's 360 degrees. You got to be good at your craft, but you have to sound good, and the production has to be good. And yeah, I think that's extremely important.
Well, Michael, thanks for your time. Be sure to check out Klotz Cables, but I'm going to let you go right now because I have to pick his brain on how I can get that hairstyle in my life.
Oh no!
Thanks for watching RockstarDreams.com.